Hello, welcome to A Life Without Parole. I'm Amy, and today I have a special guest. I've been working very hard to get a hold of her. So I've been dying to interview Sandy. We met while we were standing outside in line to get into the Lori Vallow Daybell sentencing. And I will say that after we talked and I realized there's something special about Sandy,
Mm.
probably wondering what that is. And I'm here to tell you, Sandy went to, did you go every day to Lori's?
I'm trying to remember. I didn't get in at first. I thought, oh, there's probably no way I'll do it. And then one day, my daughter who lives in Nampa, she called and said, "Mom, I got a ticket." So it was probably about a week into it or so.
But after that, you figured out the system and you were able to go every day. So
Yes.
she went to every day of Lori's trial, and she's been every day at Chad's trial. And the reason why I love Sandy's perspective is she's the only person that I know of that's in the courtroom every single day that isn't part of the trial, so to speak. She's not a reporter. She's not, you know, friends or family of either of them, right? You don't know the Daybells at all,
No, no.
and nor any of the, she is a, what do you call that? Person who watches, spectator.
Oh,
She
yeah.
is the perfect spectator, and she can give us the insides of what she's seen. I went to Lori's trial only for one day, but it happened to be the day that was the worst. It was when they did the autopsy results.
Oh,
They
yeah.
did everything on the children.
Hmm.
And that was a hard, hard day. But I got to meet Larry and Kay and a lot of the people. And so that's why I'm just so excited to be able to see Sandy, because so much of what I was able to see and hear and learn from just one day, I can't imagine what you have gleaned over the past 2 years. So, first of all, what got you started in this Lori Vallow Chad Daybell saga?
Well, I think like everybody, I was seeing it on the news every night. I was hearing about it. I live about 45 miles from where it happened. And so, from that perspective, I thought, how could this happen? And I've always been interested in crime. I watch court TV. And so I thought, this is probably never going to happen again in my area, and I'm not going to be able to go. So I just decided, what the heck? And then I was hooked
Yeah,
after that.
yeah. Now I live, I've moved around a lot, but I
Mhm.
was living in Omaha when this all happened, and I got so intrigued with it too. I think the very first thing, my I have family in Eastern Idaho, and my brother sent me a thing saying these kids are missing and
Mhm.
these two people are missing. And from that point on, I was like, this is different. This is different than most cases that you see.
Yeah.
And then, of course, obviously, when Nate Eaton is the video
Yes.
comes out, where are the children? What do when he's in Hawaii? After that, I too was just hooked. So
Mhm.
far away, I wouldn't be able to go, all the time.
Yeah.
But and then I also have found it very interesting that and it's come out in the trial that so many people assumed that the doctrine that Lori and Chad were preaching or doing, lined up with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. But as we find out from all the court proceedings, it's far from that. What would you
Yes.
agree with that?
Oh, completely. I had a lady in line the other day talking to me. She was Catholic, and she said, "I sure hope that there is one juror on there that is LDS so that they can explain what all these weird things." And yes, it's so
Yeah,
far off.
it's so far off.
Hmm.
And I mean, the cult behavior, name a few things just that come off the top of your head of what makes it different.
Well, the light and dark thing. I mean, people tried to describe that as well. It could, Melanie Gibbs, the light of Christ or Satan, but that and the rating system, of light and dark. I just, um, oh gosh, the Chad. I mean, just everything he's done. Patriarchal blessings that, he's not a patriarch.
Right.
Um, just little things like that you're just like, mm-hmm,
Yeah.
you know.
I think it's interesting that there's the multiple lives and, the claim. How does that fit in with your church?
It doesn't fit in at all. We came to this earth as at one time we didn't marry Moroni, we none of that lines up with what's in our church.
Yeah.
Nothing.
So, as far as what you've seen when you were in the courtroom, did Lori or Chad, have either of them ever noticed, like, are they aware of you that, hey, wait, she's here every day?
Um, I don't know about Lori because she would frequently just turn when they would have a sidebar, what she turns away from everybody and
Mhm.
or she doodles or whatever. So she never
Covers her
really
hair
looked.
by her eyes.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm. Yeah, she didn't. But I was it was Thursday that I was in there, and I remember looking at Chad. I tried not to, and he kept kind of glancing over, and so I think he does notice that I've been in there all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. It's probably
Probably
wondering,
wondering.
is she one of my followers?
Yeah, I never
Oh,
married you.
have you
No,
ever read any of his books?
never. Nope,
Yeah.
never. Not one.
Yeah.
No.
So, what have you gotten to know any of the other people who were there, like Kay or Larry or any of the others?
Yes, Kay and Larry, I know them quite well, and the sweetest people on the earth. I mean, Kay, she's a little more high strung, but Larry kind of keeps her leveled out. And
Yeah.
he always says, it's going to be okay. It's going
It's
to be
going to be
okay.
okay. I know
Yeah.
the day that I was there, again, it was one of the worst days for Lori's trial.
Mhm. Mhm.
And Larry passed out lifesavers to all of us that were in the courtroom, just saying, we need a little extra something. I mean, it's like they are comforting the
Yeah.
other people in there.
Mhm.
And wow, that's amazing. I don't know anybody else like that.
Yeah. My husband said, how can Larry come so often? How does he stand it? And I said, he's there for JJ. And when I was talking to Larry and I said, and you know where JJ's at, so he's good with that.
Yeah.
But he's just there for justice.
Yeah. Now, have you noticed, the one thing that I figured out was you can tell, again, I was at Lori's, there wasn't a single person in that courtroom that was there for Lori that I saw,
Mm-mm. No,
at least the day I was there. Has there been for Chad's?
no,
No.
nobody there. Mm-mm. Nope.
That's really interesting. I've done a couple of videos about Chad's children, and I think that's one of the most shocking and hard things for me to comprehend
Mhm.
is how they seem to be on his side and yet they're not there supporting him.
No, but it was brought out that Emma talks to him at least daily.
Yeah, every day. She either goes and
Mhm.
visits him or talks to him every single day, which is interesting that she wouldn't, because she could be at the trial even though she was a witness because she's
Mhm.
family. Is that true?
It's very confusing. They every time one would get on the stand, the judge would say, "Now, are they part of the exclusionary?" Um, so I don't remember hearing whether she could or not, but
Yeah. And maybe not, but she certainly didn't stay when she was done.
no, and she didn't look at him as she walked out.
Oh, she didn't.
Mm-mm. No, she just walked past, didn't look at him.
I
She,
wondered about that.
yeah,
And how did he react? I mean, from what I could see on TV, on the live, it seemed as if he was still that stone-faced person.
yeah, he had a bit of a smile on his face,
Did he?
like there's my daughter, and
Yeah.
they knew what she was going to testify about, and so no, yeah.
What did you think about Garth's testimony and how that is completely different than that last witness that we had on that, says that Garth told him that
Yeah.
his mom was dead when he got home from work.
And he found her, and Chad wasn't there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that was shocking.
Yeah.
I had never heard that before. Had you?
I had heard that Garth did find her because he heard a thud and went in there. I don't know where I heard that from, but that was something that I heard. So it sounds to be like that's been, you know, that
But
goes
it was
along with.
supposedly with Chad's there too, right? Like, did you ever hear any part that Chad was nowhere to be found?
I guess I hadn't heard that part. Yeah.
Yeah. That was the piece that was missing. And I can't help but wonder, was he in the upstairs bedroom?
The Cozy Cove or
Cozy
whatever they
cone?
call it. Yeah, Cozy Cone, yeah. And there was a mattress up there, and you never know. We get all these courties in there, and we're all trying to figure it out. But there's one girl that has been to all of them too, and
Oh,
she said, "Well, he wasn't sleeping there. He'd been up in the upstairs room. He wasn't sleeping in the room with her. So, where she seems to get a lot of good pieces that seem to align, but
I
I
couldn't
don't
help
know."
but wonder when I heard that. I was thinking, I bet. I mean, he's texting Lori all through the night
Mhm.
and calling and all of this. How's he doing that if they're in the same room?
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
I I can't for the life of me figure out why Garth would lie about. I mean, obviously, he's lying about it to try to save his dad, I'm guessing.
That's what I've discussed with someone. They said their dad's the only thing they have left.
Yeah.
Plus the fact that they seem to be, and I hate to say it, it sounds, stereotype, but they're drinking the punch.
They're
And
drinking the Kool-Aid. That's what I say all the time.
yeah, they
They've been
are.
drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
one lady in the line was saying, now this is kind of out there, but we were talking about how the kids could accept Lori so completely and so easily. And she's like, well, those Mormons, they have lots of wives. And I said, no, 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 that's FLDS. But anyway, she said, well, I said it was out there. But she said, maybe they just thought it was another wife or another mom for them.
That doesn't seem logical to me because there wasn't any of Chad's doctrine that I could find that said other than in multiple lives, he
Mm-hmm.
had multiple wives. But I don't think he ever had
Yeah,
more than one wife per
no,
life, right? I mean,
no, no. But we're just trying to figure out how their kids could just accept her so completely
yeah,
without, gee, dad, it's been 2 weeks since mom's been gone. Why did you marry? Nothing,
no.
nothing. Even when when Chad got put in the police car, and she's like, yeah, they found a body. And I said, why isn't she saying, dad, what the heck? They found a body, but Nate Eaton told me, he said, from my understanding, the kids have been told that there were pioneer bones in but just the way they react and like it's no big deal. My mom just died and my dad's remarried and he's left us and gone to Hawaii. I, I don't
Well,
know.
and I even think about that. Okay, so if you think it's Pioneer Bones, but you would still be like, well, Dad, why do you think you're not coming back? These
Yeah, she
could be
said,
Pioneer Bones. She never said, is there any chance this is the children that are missing? I mean, I just think the whole
no,
thing's sketch. I think
yeah,
that between the two Daybell children, and all of them seem to be backing him, but those two were willing to go in court and in my
hmm,
opinion lied. I mean, I
yeah,
think they knew.
no,
I
they
can't
outright
help but
lied.
think that they knew. And all along I've been thinking, oh, they didn't know and they're just being deceived. No, I now
No,
that I've seen him testify, I feel
yeah,
like they did know.
yeah. I mean, how can you? I mean, it's still in the backyard. Your dad has to know something. If
Yeah.
somebody came to my backyard, I would
Yeah.
notice, so they have to know something.
Yeah. So what do you think about how is Chad when the cameras are off? Is it any different?
Well, usually he's very rigid in kind of almost OCD. He's arranging things. He's always got his hands in a certain place or time. And when he's with his lawyer, he's laughing and joking constantly. Just laugh,
Wow.
laugh, laugh. Yeah.
One thing that was interesting to me on the day of Lori's trial is that was the day that she was going to have to see her dead children's bodies and she didn't
Mm-hmm.
want to and she was throwing a tantrum and that
Mm-hmm.
whole thing. But then when it actually came down to it, when I was watching her, and I never took my eyes off her the whole time I was there, she couldn't take her eyes off that screen. And I
Mm-hmm.
know she had her hair down and she was acting like she was crying. I never saw a tear. Did you?
Yeah. No,
No,
no, mm-mm.
no. It
Never.
felt like a complete act. And then when the jurors were out of the room, of course, hers wasn't being videoed, but when the
Mm-hmm.
jurors were out of the room, she's like, da, 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 da. She looked
Mm-hmm.
just as happy as can be.
Oh yeah,
And I
yeah,
was
she was.
curious if Chad showed similar body
You
language.
know, what got me is when they were showing JJ to him, and of course they weren't showing us, so it was on the screen,
Right.
and he looked at it, and then he just put his head down and just shaking his head like, oh, who could have done that?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
yeah. So he
he's
doesn't, and he'd look, and then he just couldn't stop looking, you
couldn't
know.
stop looking.
Mm-mm,
And
mm-mm.
that's what Lori did too.
Yeah.
She couldn't stop looking. And I was
Hmm.
looking at the jurors and they were broken up. And I
Yes.
was looking, even the judge was like, you could tell he was holding it in, trying. And there was Lori.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Chad, I didn't see any change in his face at all. And I'd
Yeah. He does.
zoom in and try to get the video quality higher.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing about Lori's, I sat on the left-hand side of the court as you first go in, and they were doing the pings and where Alex's phone was and whatnot. And one of the things the guy said was, it shows that it looked like he was doing a U-turn. And she literally turned her face so she was facing me and said to her lawyer, wow, it's like, I didn't know they could do that. And then another time when they showed the picture of Tylee and JJ, she was just looking at it and smiling, and she turned to him and she said, I took that picture. That's all she could say. I took that picture.
She's got to blow up her own ego.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
unbelievable. So here's my question that I have. Do you think that Lori believes the whole saga?
That is the question of the day. Because when she met Chad, and I'm not a body shamer, but I mean, Lori and Chad just didn't match. And
They
so
did not.
what she was looking for, I don't know. I I mean, maybe she thought he's an author and I can get something out of that. I don't know. It just boggles my mind, and that's something I've been thinking about the whole time. What was it that drew her to him?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that what I go back and forth every other day probably, but sometimes I'm like, I think she really believes that she's this goddess and everything he
Yeah.
says. And but then on the other
Mhm.
hand, I'm like, but she sure looks like a manipulator too. So
Yes.
I'm torn on what I believe about that. As far as Chad goes, what do you think? Do you think he believes it's all true, or do you think he's a con man?
Well, people say it started with Julie Rowe and her books. And to me, it sounds like Chad wanted to be like her. He wanted to have a near-death experience. He wanted everybody to go, oh my gosh, I want to sell my books, whatever.
Yeah.
And then part of him is a con man.
So,
Yeah.
what is it like when there's the breaks? Are the people that are witnesses, are they in the same area as the people who are just in the courtroom?
No, no. They have a room just right outside the courtroom where the witnesses go into. So if
Okay.
if we have to take a break and they're still on the stand, yeah, you can't have anything to do with them. So they just go in a room.
And I was wondering about like the witnesses that are waiting their turn to be on the stand. They're in a different room too, so you don't see them.
It's different. If they can sit and be watching it, they sit in the victim's part or but if they can't be in there, they're all in the room there. And I'm sure they're instructed don't talk to each other.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah,
I just didn't know because I was thinking about during the literally the Lori's trial was the first time I'd really paid attention to everything. I'd been to some other courtrooms, but um, when we were out on break, I remember at one point a few of us we kind of got to know each other, and we're like, "Is that Melanie Pulowski over there?" And we thought, and she didn't testify in Lori's trial, but we
yeah,
thought she was there, so we were all like trying to look over, and it wasn't. But then
yeah,
that's always got my brain wondering: Are they just out in that waiting area with everybody? But no, they have a
yeah.
special
They have a
place they
room.
go.
Mhm,
Okay,
mhm. Yeah.
I wondered about that. Okay, so then when they're done, do they do they end up? I mean, I've seen a couple of them stay in the courtroom, but have any of them stuck around for the day, or they're out?
I think there have been some that have stayed for the day. Some of them are just like, I've done my duty. I'm out of here. I don't want to
Out of
listen.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I've seen several just sit down there and want to
yeah.
listen to more.
What's your take on John Pryor?
you know, everybody says he's doing his job. He's doing what he has to do. And even Larry said, I want him to do a good job because, you know, you don't want a mistrial or anything.
Right. Right.
And what the strangest part is you'll see him vehemently, you know, I object, and he's screaming, and then 10 minutes later they're laughing together with the prosecution, and they're lending each other things. Oh, I have this extra, you know, jump drive if you need it. But John tries to fool you. I mean, he's been doing this for years, but all of a sudden he's like, oh, I don't know anything about the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and I can't say bishopric, and I can't, you know, he pretends because he's had years to know all about this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he just pretends a lot, but he's doing
One
his
thing,
best.
yeah, one thing that I found really interesting that it's the first time that I really understood that John Pryor is trying to manipulate, which that's his job, trying to manipulate the jurors to feel like there's doubt. But this is an example. When they were talking about the phones pinging at Lori's house, Chad's phone at Lori's house apartment, and Pryor said something to the effect of, but you can't prove that he wasn't at BYU campus and his phone was just pinging to her apartment. And I've personally been to BYU Idaho campus and to her apartment. Like I've scouted out everything. They're nowhere near each other.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he knows that, but he's just trying to confuse the jurors because the jurors may not know. That's one thing that I wish that the jurors could go and see everything, like walk through the house, walk through the property. Did you go by the house and the property when you were there for the thing?
No, I haven't. That the other thing that John does is he gets a question out there. He gets that doubt out there, even if it's going to get denied, and, you know,
Right.
just strike that. He's got it out there.
He's
And
got
that's
it
what
out
he's,
there.
yeah. So.
My brother is an attorney in Idaho, and we have had conversations from the beginning because I have personally never liked Pryor. I just his voice rubs me wrong somehow, and I don't know. I've just never liked him. But my brother is always telling me he is a great attorney. He's doing his job, and you know, so I've been trying to be less biased, I guess,
Yeah.
when it comes
Well,
to him.
that's what people keep saying. He's good at what he's doing, but I'm very biased because I have a daughter that's a state trooper, and she had to go up to Fremont County or Madison County to do some, you know, work for them. And he was in there and he was chasing one of the deputies, and he kept just trying to engage her. And finally she turned around and she said, I'm married. And he said, well, who's going to call your husband, me or you? And my daughter witnessed that, and my daughter she just cringes when that type of stuff happens. So, and he has it. We joke all the time. He has a prior, you know, he has done something.
Pryor has a prior.
Yes,
no one talks about that. But
no,
he does.
yes, he does. But he is good at what he does, and like he knows he just has to cast doubt enough for one person, and then he's, you know.
Yeah. He's done his job. I do find it interesting that it seems to me like a lot of the time when he'll say a statement, and this is just again a personal opinion, but he'll say something and then he just seems to like look around like everyone should be clapping or something. Have you noticed that?
Oh my gosh, I say it almost every day. I'm like, are you looking at me? I can't answer that because, you know, yeah, he does.
Yeah.
He talks to the witness or to the person that's testifying, but he looks straight at the jury like he's not even talking to them. And it's the most bizarre thing that we witness every day.
Okay, speaking of jury, I think that was my favorite part about going to Lori's trial was being able to see the jurors. And that's the perspective that no one else gets to see. But to see the jurors and to watch, and they're trying to not show body language, but you can't help a little bit. And just to see what kind of people they are and get a feel, just a little bit of a feel for what they might be hearing. I think it's interesting that they don't see everything that the rest of us see. So they're limited. But what's your take on the jurors? Are they similar in age and variations as at Lori's trial?
I think so. Yeah, very variations, young to probably middle-aged or a little bit more. I've noticed they cried. Some of them actually cried when they had to look at the pictures. One girl would look and just, she couldn't take it anymore and she'd just have to look away. I was talking with, I think it was Nate Eaton, and he said, in my opinion, it looks like they already made their decision. I mean, it's almost like they're just like biding their time in a sense, because
Going through
you
the
can see.
motions of it.
Yeah. I mean, it's been so long and there have been so many days where it was cut short. And Judge Boyce would say, we're trying to be cognizant of your lives and what we're doing. But he said, it's been hard getting witnesses here and knowing when the day was going to end and if it went too fast. But I think they're doing their job. I think they're really listening. You can see a lot of them writing down stuff and looking at the monitor real closely. So I think they're taking it serious.
Well, that I commend them. I can't imagine being on that jury. And
No.
it's death penalty. So that
Yeah.
is a whole nother level than what Lori's was,
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, they've got a job to do that nobody wants to have to do that.
Yeah. Have you
But
heard anything about where they will do the sentencing? I mean, let's say
no.
he's found guilty.
Yeah.
I'm just going to take a guess.
Yeah. They haven't said anything about sentencing yet. And it's been kind of cryptic the last few days, about what they're doing. And they had this last Thursday or whenever it was, they had a meeting outside of even us.
Right.
And,
we got to be watching it and you all were out. That was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. It really irritated one of the reporters. She was from Court TV, and she said, I said, well, can you contest that? And she said, I'm trying. And she was doing her best because she said, he's not even following his own rules.
Yeah.
So I don't know what went on there, but
yeah,
it's been a circus some days. I mean, it was Mr. Pryor, quit talking over the witness. Mr. Pryor, I haven't made a ruling yet. Mr. Pryor, turn on your mic, and every day we all go, turn on your mic, turn on your mic. But these
I mean, it
jurors.
Seems like it's the most like, hello, push the button, turn on your mic, push the button, turn off your mic. But I get it. Like, he's the only one there. He's trying to do everything.
Well, and somebody made the comment that the jurors in the beginning, they'd kind of laugh along with him, when he would do his weird little things. And now they're just sitting there like,
we're done.
We're
and
done.
The last two witnesses that he had on, I get it. You got to do it. But they were so long and laborious. And what's the point? Like, I was falling asleep watching it. I had to go, wait. And I can fast forward it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, one of the things that I found interesting was when Mr. Pryor was talking about her bones and missing some and all this stuff. And then one of his questions was, so you can't say how her DNA got on there. Well, it wasn't just from poking the fire and, the burnt ends, because there was no substance on there. It was before. It just...
That was one of the most shocking things at the end of Lori's trial, was when they said something to the effect of, well, you can't tell it's murder because you don't know. They can't say a cause of death for Tylee. And I'm like, well, she didn't chop herself up.
Yeah, exactly. It's just stupid things like that you're like, I know you have a job to do, but come on, everybody can see through that.
Yeah. So does the judge give you any indication of when the trial's going to be, or do you find out the same time as the rest of us that, okay, we're cutting it early and we aren't doing Friday?
No, we learn it with just like the rest of you.
Okay, I wondered about that.
So frustrating because there are people that come long ways to see it, and then we're done at noon.
Yeah.
I think Larry gets some of it, and we were very confused on Wednesday, because they didn't say see you tomorrow, and so I said, hey Larry, are you coming tomorrow? And he said, you bet, you'll all be here, so I figured, okay, he's been told that they're going to come back, but no, we get it right at the end, just like everybody.
So it looks to me like Tuesday might be it, right? I mean, they might wrap.
That's what I'm hoping. I guess they both have to do their thing of it. We proved our case, and John saying, no, you didn't. Yeah, the closing. Yeah. And so that could happen on Tuesday, but I'm estimating maybe 1 or 2 more days, just because weird things,
Yeah.
and then the jury instructions are going to be so much more than Lori's because of the capital case. And so I don't know what's going to happen there, but yeah, I'm hoping that it's in the next few days, because yeah.
So
I do.
this will be my last question, then I'll let you go. But
Oh,
what is the biggest differences that you've noted from Lori's trial compared to Chad's?
Well, they both threw each other under the bus, right away. And from Lori's trial, from what I understand, that was the thing that she said to them: you can do anything you want, but don't throw Alex or Chad under the bus.
But
Which
her attorneys had to do something.
that's why I said that was the only defense that she had.
Yeah.
And I guess the difference I noticed is that she cared, he doesn't. She still loves him. He could care less. She felt like her looks were going to get her off. I think, we keep joking. Yeah, he's not afraid to go to jail because, eventually it's going to happen. The bricks are going to fall. He's going to come out. He's going to lead the 144,000. I don't know. But it was just, both of them were just the most bizarre things. I said, you couldn't, and funny, you couldn't write a book about it, but he did.
Yeah. It is really the craziest. I've been following true crime since O.J. Simpson. That's how long.
Yeah.
And I've never seen anything like this one.
Never. That's why my sister keeps saying, are you still going to go back? Are you going to go back? I said, I've done this far, and I don't know if there will ever be another thing like this where we live. It's just unheard of. You might see it in these big cities and whatnot, but this is just, this just tells me just how far Satan can deceive, and just the way people say, well, that doesn't, not part of the church, but it sounds good and it makes sense to me. And Satan's just, it's sad. It's really sad.
Well, and I still sometimes think the whole thing is a con.
It is.
For sure. And I'm like, how far is Chad gonna go that he would just keep on this path? But man, I know that we were sitting in my office in Omaha, and everyone in the office was sitting around the computer watching as they were discovering the bodies in the backyard and that whole day. And I mean, Omaha is far from, Nebraska's far from Idaho, and I just think it's international. It's not just Idaho. It's across the country and across the world, because it is the most bizarre, horrendous case.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Well, Sandy, thank you so much for doing this with me.
Out in the way.
I think it just froze in. Oh, there we go.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for asking me.
And I'm sure I'll see you at the sentencing.
Yeah, oh, yes. I'll be there if I have to camp out in the thing.
We camped out for Lori's.
Yeah. So, no, it's going to be interesting, but I think we all know what it's going to be. It's just a matter of when.
Time now.
Yes.
All right. Well, you have a good night, and I will see you.
All right.
Soon.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.